This is going to be my most favorite doll story to ever tell, because I didn't go to an estate sale, and this black doll I found wasn't even meant to be sold. In this video, I'm not just sharing about this doll. I'm also sharing some Puerto Rican art and history. This story starts in Connecticut, but it takes place in Loíza, Puerto Rico. For perspective, ever since the lynching of George Floyd in 2020, and all the racist injustices and stories I began learning about that I was never taught, I've been reading a lot to understand the true history of the United States. And that includes my own Puerto Rican history, which was never taught in school. Let's just say, I understand why they go so hard on being woke. With that said, out of everything I've learned, one sweet spot in this journey is how it led me to Bomba, one of Puerto Rico's oldest and most powerful musical traditions. Born on the island's sugar plantations, Bomba was created by enslaved Africans who used drums, song, and dance to communicate, celebrate, grieve, resist, and hold on to who they were. I've always loved different genres of Caribbean music because it's the kind of music that gets right into my soul. And Bomba has always been part of my culture. But it wasn't until I heard its influence in Bad Bunny's DTMF that I felt drawn to understand its deeper history and meaning. I didn't expect that the more I learned about Bomba's roots, the rhythms, the dances, and especially how it's still used as a form of resistance and storytelling, the more deeply I'd feel connected to it. With that said, one thing I've learned is that Bomba's strongest heartbeat lives in Loíza, Puerto Rico. So in November 2025, I went there, and what I'm about to share is the most unforgettable part of that trip. My visit to Samuel Lynn Hernandez's art studio. Samuel Lynn Hernandez is one of the most important artists in Puerto Rico. His work celebrates Afro-Puerto Rican culture, capturing the life, vibrancy, and spirit of Loíza. Loíza itself was settled by African descendants of the Yoruba people. It's the capital of tradition, the heartbeat of African culture on the island. And if Loíza is the heart, Lynn is often described as its soul. As soon as my family and I stepped into the studio, we were surrounded by art, sculptures, and so much history. To my surprise, I immediately spotted a couple of black dolls on one table, and then off to the side was this Bomba doll that I instantly fell in love with. My family and Lynn himself were the only ones there. From the moment we met him, it was clear he embodies that humble, funny, kind nature of so many elder Puerto Ricans. His studio is also his home, and for the time we were there, he welcomed us like family. That day, he was working on a collection of paintings of famous salsa singers for an upcoming event. My son loves salsa, so while the two of them were in deep conversation, I flipped through Lynn's art book because I knew I was purchasing something. I did not expect I would find some of his artwork from New Haven and Connecticut in general. First, Las Fiestas de Loíza in Connecticut. A tradition held for over 300 years, these festivals are loud, joyful, and deeply rooted in Afro-Puerto Rican tradition. There's bomba en plena music, dancing, vejigante mass, and processions honoring Santiago Paso. At the bottom it reads, Con el orgullo y la dignidad de un pueblo. When Puerto Ricans migrated to Connecticut, they carried that tradition with them, turning it into a cultural bridge between the island and New Haven. Although I never attended these festivals, as a child in the 70s and 80s, I remember the adults around me talking about them. The celebration itself was a part of New Haven life for many Puerto Rican families. Second, Desfile Puertorriqueño in Connecticut, 1992. This painting is where Loíza meets New Haven. Lynn told me he wanted it to feel like you're in Puerto Rico looking out a window, but in the distance, you actually see the New Haven Green, the three churches, and Yale just behind that. Two homelands in one image. Third, Desfile Puertorriqueño in Connecticut, New Haven, 1995. This painting features the garita from San Juan's El Morro and the New Haven Lighthouse. There's the ocean between them, and the quote reads in both English and Spanish, Certainly we are one people, separated by the sea, and integrally united by our culture. Lastly, my favorite, the print Samuel Lynn created for his retrospective at Chicago's Ruiz Belvis Cultural Center, a space dedicated to preserving Puerto Rican culture. It honors the abolition of slavery in Puerto Rico, showing a man stepping out of his chains and into freedom, paired with Betances' powerful reminder, Querer ser libre es empezar a hacerlo. When I told Lynn that my last name was Ruiz, the painting took on even more meaning. He shared that Segundo Ruiz Pelvis was a Puerto Rican abolitionist who quietly purchased enslaved babies, not to own them, but to baptize them so they could legally be freed. Talk about feeling like I'd just been given a dose of ancestral courage. After choosing the prince, I mentioned to Lynn the doll I wanted to buy. He looked confused, so I ran downstairs, grabbed the doll, and brought it back up. But he smiled and told me the doll wasn't for sale, that it was just part of his personal collection. Confused, I pointed to the price tag, but he laughed and said the tag was probably just what he paid for it. I apologized and explained I was a picker and collector from Connecticut who documents the stories of black dolls I find. That changed everything. Excited, he led me to a back room to show me these black dolls that are especially meaningful to him. He shared all about their names and the stories behind each one. Then the ultimate happened. He not only agreed I could have the doll I wanted, he agreed to autograph it. He sat next to his barril, squeezed a little paint on top of it, dipped his brush, and painted his signature right onto her side. Now, she will for always be my favorite doll. After that, he just kept walking me through his studio, and with every painting or sculpture, there was another story. I'll share just these last two. Lynn has had many Puerto Rican performers visit him over the years, and most recently, it was Raúl Alejandro. Raúl filmed his Carita Linda music video in Lynn's studio while Lynn actually painted the portrait used in the video. Lastly, Lynn asked me what I did for a living, and when I told him I was in the legal field, he shared with me his interpretation of Black justice. This is his reimagined Lady Justice who removes her own blindfold because she refuses to pretend she can't see inequality. The tilted scales show how justice has been uneven. The resting sword symbolizes justice delayed. He centers a black woman not as a symbol of impartiality, but as a truth teller. Justice with her eyes wide open. Samuel Lynn Hernandez is not just an artist. He is soul, he is history, he is Loisa. He embodies everything I've ever loved about my Puerto Rican people. The warmth, humility, humor, and depth. He was the highlight of my trip. I walked out with my doll feeling like I had just visited my tío I hadn't seen in years. And I will definitely be back.